And a very good morning to all of you. Well, this is Namta Tiwari, and I'm sitting here for interview session. And what's your good name?
My good name is Satyam Kumar.
Okay, my first question goes to Satyam. How can we remove hesitation problem?
Because suppose you are hesitating in the way of speaking.
Yeah.
So you have to use your mind. Why you are hesitating in the way of speaking? Because the lack of practice. Because you are not confident in the way of speaking. So there are a lot of reasons and reading problems like when you are reading you are not using your mind, where is the comma and where is the full stop. You are reading like a bullet train, you know. And we have to think about lack of practice and lack of confidence in the mistakes of readings. So when we remove these kinds of things from our mind, we remove hesitation also.
Okay, my second question is that how can we stop crime?
Okay. Uh, First of all, we have to know why crimes happen in our society, because corruption is the most important thing in the crimes. Because when corruption happens, when people become against to other people. Why people is collecting so much money, why other people is bribing to me, okay. And if we talk about other crimes like murders and abduction, bride burning, and so many things which are happening and which are making and spoiling our society. So there are too much reasons of crime in our society.
Okay, my third question is that we know about very well we have a shortage of water, but even then, a lot of people they misuse of waters. Then, what do you want to say about that kinds of people?
Only 1% water is available to drink, but people don't know what is the value of water in our life, and in the way of getting water, by anyhow we get water like underground water, by rivers, by ponds, by lakes, by seas, oceans. But we don't know what is the value of water in life. And why, if you talk about the shortage of water, there have a lot of shortage of water in our life. And if we talk about the example of Chennai, what happens in Chennai, underground water is so demolished, is so removed in Chennai. So we can see the example of Chennai, and we can use our mind when we do wastage of water. We can demolish the when we are using shortage of water, we are wasting surface of atom. When bucket is available, we are using shower to bath. We are using like when we are brushing our teeth, and when we are bathing, when bucket is so full, we have already opened the tap, and we are not ready to close the tap. So we have to use our mind. What will happen if water will not exist on our earth? If you see the example of other planets like Mars and Mars, Jupiter, they have no water. And we can see the example of they have no plants.
Yeah.
So you can use our mind. If other planets have no trees, so water is not will be existing there.
Yeah.
So we can use our mind if we want to aware today. It is the two big crises will happen in our life.
Okay, my first question is that do you think that corruption is everywhere spread today?
Yeah, why not? It's
And
spreading.
okay, how can we stop it?
I think, according to my mind, we have to use our mind to being a honest person.
Yeah.
When all people are become honest, then it will be to remove corruption from our society. But we can't ignore all people want honest, because it's the right of freedom. all people have all people have a lot of rights, and they are so free to do anything. So we can't ready to make all people like honest. They have think also why corruption is going high in India and other states of India, and if we want to remove corruption in our country, in our state, we have to aware all about this. And if we are going to offices and we are giving money, there is no work of giving money to that officer, but we are giving money.
Yeah.
So that is bribe, and we are not aware why we are giving money to them, and so if we are not aware why we are giving money, so that is our fault, not that officer's fault.
Yeah.
So when we are aware, there is no work of bribe, and when we are giving too much money that officer, and instead of that person will help me.
Yeah.
So that is not democratic country, I think. All people are not doing good,
Yeah.
so that is, I think.
Okay. Which kinds of habit you called a bad habit in a student life?
In a student life, if we see the example of nowadays, there is the smartphone is the biggest problem, and biggest I think bad habitual in according to my mind.
Okay, but you don't think lot of students by the smartphone they get a more knowledge and they crack the lot of exams like a NEET and JEE and that kinds of exams, and they get a more knowledge.
Anything have two aspects,
Yeah.
like negative impact and positive impact. On which behalf we are using smartphones, it depends on ourselves. When we are using smartphone in the good way, it will be when we are using a smartphone in good way, then it will be get too much positive things, like when we are preparing for any exams, and when we are ready to make our career, then we are using smartphones, and there have a lot of free videos are available on smartphones. And when we are preparing for all about this, so we use a smartphone.
Yeah.
And when that time we have no work, we are so feeling lazy. When we are feeling lazy, and so that time we are using so much using smartphones. So I think we have to use our mind. Why we are using a lot of smartphones? If a person have no work, so and this time they use smartphones.
Okay, can you imagine population is day by day increases in India?
Yeah.
Then what will happen in our future?
Yeah, that is a good question, I think. What will happen if the population is going high? And it's India is the second largest country about population.
I know.
And it will be if we talk about the UN survey, it will be the first largest country about population.
Yeah.
So we have to think about all like population. Why population explosion is going so high in India? So we have to. I think a government have to apply rules and regulation. Yeah, all people know that is the right. That is the violation of privacy. Who is government, and who given the right of government? You will be decide how much children we will be reproduct.
Yeah.
I think if the question raised about the country, so I think when be the question raised about the for welfare of country, so we should apply rules and regulation for to decrease population in India. I think it won't be the violation of privacy, because a nation is so on top, I think, and there is no all people know citizens by the citizens called like a country called nation. So if we want safe, then what is the work of nation? What will about nation? So we have to think population explosion is going high. So I suggest government. I suggest government. You have to apply rules and regulations to decrease population, because it and what will happen if population is going high? Food crisis, a lot of lack of employment, lack of jobs. Lack of so we can see the example of China. We can't ignore China is so developed country, but we
Yeah.
seeing the example of India. India is not so developed country.
Yeah.
It depends of China. When China applied rules in their country, they have already controlled population. But we are not ready to apply rules and regulations to control population in India. We should apply here.
Okay, what is human right?
Human right. Humans have a lot of rights by the constitution, by their own mind. So what is the human right? I think human right is a so big thing. If a country, if other people are violating their rights, so of human right is so important to all. Sorry, I don't know about more thing about it.
Okay. Um, Communication gap between parent and children nowadays increases. What's reason behind of it?
When you see the example of smartphones, like if we are seeing the 21st century, and we are so indulging in like smartphones, scientific gadgets, and if you see the example of office aid works, and so many people are working in their offices like day shift, night shift. They have no time to spend their time with children. So there is the biggest cause